big part of executive function is your or your child's ability to plan and organize. So what makes it hard for a child to stay on top of assignments, tasks, materials, things like that? There are three main skills that can impact this if they're not strong. One would be logic and reasoning. Logic and reasoning is our ability to think in an organized way. It helps us develop systems to track our materials, to remember assignments, to prioritize. So, for example, a child going from 5th grade to middle school, where they're going from one teacher all day to like 6, 7 different teachers. Logic and reasoning would help them develop a system where they might say, I'm going to have a different folder for each class. I'm going to use a planner, and here's where I'm going to write my assignment. So logic helps them be organized. And if that's not a strong skill, a lot of times you as the parent wind up doing that for them. And obviously you want them to be able to handle that because that's an important life skill. Working memory is their ability to hold and organize thoughts. So if this isn't strong, it shows up as kind of scattered thinking. There's often forgetfulness that assignments are due, or a lot of kids will do the work and forget to turn it in, which is the most frustrating because they've done the hardest thing and not just like, here you go, or hit, submit. Working memory is also their ability to think sequentially, which is a critical planning skill. And then another skill is processing speed. If processing speed is not strong, especially when kids get to that junior high, high school age, school moves so much faster now than it did in grade school, right? And so if you're not processing quickly, things are going to fall through the cracks. It can make us work too slowly to even get our work done. So if you have a child struggling with organization or planning, here are some ideas to help with that. So if they're having a hard time, for example, they get their homework done but don't bring it to school to turn in, find an existing routine that they consistently follow and then piggyback on that. So for example, we had a student who struggled with this, and I basically asked the parents, what does your child always remember to bring to school? And they said, his lunch. So as odd as this is, what they started to do is I said, how about if when your child completes their homework, they put it with their lunch? So they would literally put the homework assignment in the fridge with lunch. Guess what? Never forgot homework again. Build consistent routines. Things like, well, homework's always done right after school, or it's always done right after dinner. So the more consistency you can build in, the more memorable that is, and the more kind of like muscle memory that becomes. The other would be to use visual schedules. Get the schedule or the things that need to be done out of their brain so they can see it. Like maybe even have them put it on a bunch of Post-it notes so they can see those, and then they can plan and prioritize around that. So those are some like strategies to help with planning and organizing. But if you really want to get to the root cause, if you think one of these weaker skills might be driving that, we can help you discern whether that's the case or not.